I was in my shed at the weekend and I made this small ash vase. I need to take some photographs for my other channel for when I made this, but I wanted to have a go here with this video to try various different types of lighting to see what sort of effects I could get. So I've got my normal setup here, a couple of tables as my sort of like work area with this black piece of glossy perspex on it to create the reflection. So the idea is I'm just going to put the vase towards the end there. I've got a 5-in-1 reflector at that end just to act as a background. I've got my camera set up here on the tripod. It's in portrait mode, pure and simply because of the subject. At the moment I'm using my 24-105 lens on there, and the reason I've got using this lens is because I want to shoot at 50mm because I'm looking at possibly getting a 50mm prime lens as well to go with this. For flash wise, at the moment I've got my new Godox AD200 on here, and it works, to be honest, exactly the same way as the V1 Pro. It's just a case that it's more power and it is more of a dedicated sort of like studio flash rather than a on-camera flash, but the other one will probably come into play as well at some point. And on the front here I'm just using a standard 7-inch reflector. At the moment I've got a 20-degree grid in there. Why you'd normally have a grid on is it just stops the spread of light. The camera is also tethered to my laptop, and I'm just using the Canon software on there so that I can do everything from the laptop, and you'll be able to see the pictures as I take them and what all the settings are. So the most important thing I need to check first of all is that all this light I've got coming in here is not going to affect my picture. So I've got some lights on above my head here, and it's still late afternoon, so there's a fair bit of light coming through the door and the windows there. So I've just switched off that flash. So at the moment my settings on here are 1/200th of a second, f8 and ISO 100. And the reason for that is 1/200th is my flash sync speed, and I'm going to probably want a reasonable depth of field, and I want to keep the ISO low as possible. So if I take an image there now and look to see what we've got, and there I can see that is a totally black image. So at least that way I know that what light appears in my pictures is what's coming from the flashes that I produce. So I'm going to switch the flash on again. At the moment I've got that set to 1/128th power, so it is fairly low. And if I take a image here now, let's just see what I've got. So that I actually quite like. I've got the nice reflection in the bottom here. The only problem is probably on the left hand side here, it's just gone totally dark where there's nothing in there whatsoever. But that's certainly one image to start with, and the background is totally black because there's no light getting to the background. And the first thing I'm going to do is try and get a bit of light back in on that side just using my small 5-in-1 reflector, and this is just a 12-inch one. Ideally I'd probably use the larger one, but I'm using that as a backdrop at the moment. And if I hold this on the edge here, hopefully when I take an image now, that will have put a bit of light back into the image. And there you go. I've now got all the other side defined on there, and you can see really what the difference is there between that really harsh light on the right hand side and then just holding the reflector in there just to pull out all the detail. So that's with the light more or less in what would be a normal standard position. But what I'm going to try is I'm going to stick the light up a lot higher, so it's coming down quite a distance. I may have to increase the power a little bit. I can just test that with the light meter, and if I point that there and up, yeah, that's dropped right off, no end. I think it's because I've still got the light not pointed down enough. That needs to come down a little bit further. And this is what the grid does. It really stops the light coming down. That's showing around about f5.6.5. So if I just put that up, there you go. So I've got f8 again now. So Going to try it without the reflector first of all, and that really does give a total difference. So that's the normal side light, and that's now bringing the shadows all underneath as well. So if I try and just hold the reflector there as well again, and that has certainly filled in some, and it's given me these shadows under the top lip there. So what I'm going to try next is some form of backlighting. I think I'm actually going to try to start with of putting this right directly in line and just see what we get. So I honestly don't know what this is going to come out like. Power is going to probably be miles over the top, but let's just see. And yeah, that's pretty awful, to be honest. So what I think I'm going to do is bring it to the side a bit. Well, in fact, just try raising it up off to the side a slight bit. I'm actually going to take the grid out now so that it's straight the 7-inch reflector. And if I take a test image there now, so I've now got the actual light reflected in the surface here. So if I want to do that effect, I probably need to go a little bit higher or a little bit further out. But that's actually defining the edge of the vase quite nicely there. So if we put this out a little bit further, I'm just going to raise it a little bit again. There you go. So that's now totally backlit on the side, and you can just about make out the definition on the right hand side. What I'm going to try and do is just going to put that up probably about a stop of light. And yeah, that looks a lot better. And what's happened here is I'm now getting light coming from the right hand side, and it's probably reflecting off the units on the side there. So to add to that, what I'm going to do is have my reflector on the front here, and that's pulled in just a little bit more light, so it just gives it that more definition. I think that would work really well if the background was lit and probably coloured. What I've done now is I've still kept the main light where it is, and I've just brought in my Godox V100 Pro, and that's now pointing up at the background. I've set the power to that to its lowest output at the moment, just to then see what we get here. What I've done is I've switched off the main flash so that I'm only going to illuminate the background just to see what it does. It's fairly light. It's probably could do with a little bit more power in there, so I'm going to up that by a couple of stops and then take another image. And that's certainly illuminating it now. So if I put the main light on again, hold my reflector at the front, and then just take an image here. There you go, so that's now backlit from the back left hand side. The background is certainly now separating the whole piece. And let's also try that as well without the reflector. Even without the reflector now, because I've lit the background, even though it's rather crumpled, but it does give a textured appearance to it. It gives an outline to the vase. Now I've got a whole selection of coloured gels here that I can use that I've cut out, and I think I'm going to, normally I'd go for the red, but I will in this case. In actual fact, I'm just going to try the red just to see what that comes out like. Now putting a red gel on there may well take a stop of light out, so what I'm going to do as well is I'm just going to up the power on there as well by a stop. So no reflector. So yeah, the background is now actually coming out quite nice with that red background, and because I've got the main light only hitting the subject, it's backlit there. So let's try that with the reflector. And there you go, that makes quite a bit of difference to it. Not sure whether how much I like the background there. I'm just wondering whether to open up the aperture a bit. So I might go to f5.6, which means I need to take a stop of light out of each of the flash. Try that again. And it's certainly made the background a bit better. So I think the next thing I'm going to try is try and go for a lot softer lighting. So I'm going to get out one of my soft boxes and bring the light back round to the front. I've brought in a softbox. This is a 60cm Octobox that I've just recently bought from Niwa. It's got a double diffuser in it. It's also, the backing has a silver lining to reflect the light around a lot more. So I'm just having the softbox at the front here. The backlighting for the coloured backdrop has still stayed the same. So that's actually illuminated that quite well. So that's worked quite well, but what I want to do is I'm not really showing off the dark brown and the light brown so much, so I'm just going to rotate this around a bit so I've got more of the dark showing, and I'm just going to zoom in on the software and just check that I'm still in focus. Take another image and see what we've got. So yeah, you can see it shows the dark brown up a lot more now with the white on the side there. Thought I'd add a bit of interest to the vase, and I've just got a fake rose here. I take an image there now and see what that comes out like, and this is where I will probably want to come away from. I'm not sure in fact, I think the red colour might well complement it. Let's just see what happens if we up the power on that back flash by a couple of stops. And there you go, that's really made it a lot brighter. I think I'm going to change that colour to something a bit more complementary, maybe a blue. There you go, that I think actually looks quite nice. So they work quite well. What I've done now is I've actually brought in a third light. This is my 20-year-old plus studio light, and I've just stuck an orange gel on there, but I don't, it's going to be fairly mild, so I don't know how much of an effect it's going to have. So the vase itself with the flower will be illuminated with the light box here. The background is still being illuminated with the blue gel, and I've got the third light here, and the idea is to have a fog on the back here. Now I don't have a fog machine, but there is a cheap way you can actually do this. I certainly don't condone smoking and vaping. If you've never smoked and vaped, just do not start it, whatever you do. But what you can do, if you do have a vape, or you can buy a cheap one, rather than sucking on the vape, if you blow on the vape, it actually puts the steam out of the vent. There are videos online where you can modify a vape to become a fog machine. So you can put a tube on the top and you have some form of a fan blowing air in the top there, so that at least when you just press the button, the fan will be pushing the air through to push the vape out. At the moment I don't have that, so I'm going to have to do this manually, and at the same time as well try and take photos as I go along. So it really is hit and miss, because I can't really see where the image is as I'm doing this. So that's as simple as that. Now, what the images will come out like, I don't know. If I now go back to the laptop and have a look, and looks like I'm just getting the light in the right hand corner here. It is illuminating the vape, but I'm not sure whether it's ideal how I'd want it. I think I will actually try and put this light on the other side. So let's try it again. So if we look at the images now, hopefully, well, I'm actually in the image, which doesn't really help. But the effects are certainly there, but I don't know whether... I mean, that's actually a really nice image. The camera stopped recording just as I was doing the fog on there, and had to alter a few things around. First of all, I mean, the final images I've come up here with something like this, and I will probably put some of these together in Photoshop to link them together. I just don't like the red that's coming on the vase there, but I have taken a picture without the red flash firing, so I can then put that in there separately. What I've done around the back here is that the other studio light with the gel on it, I put right over that side. I had to basically use a reflector as what they call a flag to stop as much light coming through to the vase. Without that, the whole side of the vase is actually lit red. Even though I've got a grid on that light, it doesn't do an enormous amount because the gel is sat in front of the grid. So therefore the gel itself then becomes the light source. So if you can see the gel itself, then you are going to be getting some part of that coloured light. I'm going to put a few of these images through Photoshop to show up at the end. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. It really has been a case of trying to work it out as I went along. Totally new to a lot of these as well, so it has been a lot of experimentation, and certainly working in such a small space does have its problems. I have knocked the tripod several times, and I've even knocked my worktop there, even at one point having the vase flying across the floor. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, hopefully you took something from this. If you've got any thoughts on processes where I could have tried something different or improved something, please do let me know down in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching.